Okay, so let's get started. So welcome once again to today's UNSW Co-op Gateway Chat, Shine Like the Star You Are. So as a quick introduction, my name is Kelly and I'll be your host for today. So I'm currently in my fourth and final year of the actuarial co-op degree. And on your screen, you'll see the agenda for tonight. So the main point of the session is to give some insight into the application process and what you can do to maximize the quality of your responses. So you'll hear some really insightful tips and advice from our co-op team, as well as some current co-op scholars. So let's kick off with some introductions. So Kay, would you like to start off? Kay, I think you might be on mute.
Sorry, everybody. Yeah, look, I wanted to start tonight's session by just giving you a bit of an insight into why, from the co-op point of view, we are widening the academic entry to attract more students from gateway schools. At the very simplest level, it's because UNSW has initiated a huge program through Gateway to recognise, and because it recognises that the ATAR is really not the only indicator of a student's potential. And we as a co-op program, we want to support that initiative and we want to build on that initiative. But more specifically, co-op is a career development program. And I know Kelly's going to tell you a little bit more about what that means in a little while. But from our point of view, what we are looking at is not only your progress through university, but your transition into the workforce. And we recognise and increasingly are aware of the enormous richness and value that comes from diversity. And certainly employers recognise and look for the same thing. And what do I mean when I talk about diversity? Obviously, we talk about diversity in terms of diversity of culture and of background. But from a co-op point of view, diversity also means diversity, different exposure, different experiences that students can bring to the program and share with the broader student cohort. And students from diverse backgrounds also bring, we know from experience, a different thought and a different attitude to resilience. In fact, different attitudes across the board. They also bring often a different hunger in terms of their objectives and achievements in life and a different form of commitment. And that's all really rich and valuable to the program. Our aim is to successfully transition students into their careers. And we know that success in the workplace is much more than just an ATAR or a university mark. So, and as I said, employers know that too. So we are really looking at your journey through university and beyond university and wanting to support greater diversity through that pipeline. Of course, academics is still important. And Kelly will indicate to you in a little while that we're not removing academic criteria altogether for students from gateway schools. Of course, a number of you will get in with the current entry requirement. But what we are doing is widening the requirement for a number of students because of this increasing recognition that what you bring is greater diversity, greater experience, greater things to share, and for everyone to learn from. Importantly, we also have a design and a structure through the co-op program that means that we can both give you the opportunity to share your broader experiences with all of the cohorts that we have in the program, but we can also provide additional support through the structure that we have to give you the support that you might need as and when you move through the program. So it is all about this decision to expand and to widen our marking criteria for a number of scholarships is about attracting more gateway students into the program because of the diversity that you bring, because of the difference in experience that you bring, and because we know that that adds to the richness of our program. So we really look forward to welcoming more applications from Gateway students and to welcoming more of you into the co-op program. Okay, enough from me. I'm going to hand back to Kelly now, who's going to start to talk you through what the program offers in a broader sense, and then to some of the students who are also in the program at the moment from Gateway schools for them to share their experience with you. So I hope you find the night valuable. Thank you.
Yep. And so during this session, as Kay mentioned, we'll be hearing from some co-op scholars. They'll be introducing themselves later on during their portion of the evening. And last but not least, we have Deb, who will also be sharing some more technical tips on how you can write a really effective response to an application question. Did you want to introduce yourself now or later, Deb?
That's fine, Kelly. I'll share with the group. Happy to be here, and I'm here as a support person for those of you who are successful and also in your application process following today.
Yeah, and finally, we'll conclude with the Q&A component. So as I mentioned before, have a think if you have any questions throughout the session. And if there are any questions, feel free to pop it in the chat. So just some housekeeping points. This session will be recorded and uploaded onto Open Learning by the end of the week. If you aren't comfortable with being recorded, please let us know or keep your camera off and mic muted during the session. Throughout the session, please also remain muted during the presentations. If you have any questions, you can pop it in the chat or wait until the Q&A session to unmute and ask your questions. Please ensure all communication is respectful and supportive, and keep in mind that the chat will be moderated by UNSW staff. So as a quick recap for those of you who aren't sure what exactly the co-op program is, the co-op program is basically evolved from the desire of companies for students who are not only good at theory, but also have the necessary practical skills to operate effectively in the workplace from the very beginning. So through the placements, mentoring, and workshops, all of this that make up the co-op program, you will be able to leave university with an impressive resume, an expansive network, and unique work experiences that set you apart from other graduates and really give you a head start in your career. So I've experienced this firsthand through the graduate process. You really do get given like multiple job offers, and all the recruiters are looking to have you in their team. So what can the co-op program offer you? The co-op program is an industry-linked scholarship for high-achieving students who want to leave uni with more than just an academic qualification. So through the 3 different placements that you go onto, you will be immersed into the workplace and work on the actual projects that develop your skills and allow you to explore the different industries available. And all of this is before you've even graduated. And as such, it makes the co-op scholars highly sought after when they graduate, due to the level of professional development and the experiences that they've had. But beyond that, there really is that emphasis on experiential learning, whether it's through the leadership training or professional development. So one standout for me was the Excel workshop. Since Excel is a skill that we use so often in the actuarial world, whether it's to build a dashboard or to do valuations, I found this workshop really helpful because professionals came in to teach us Excel fundamentals, and then they also demonstrated how they used those Excel tools in the workplace. So I feel like this is one of the really great strengths of the co-op program, because you can really see how your classroom learning can be applied in real life. And it makes it so much more important and more material that what you've learned in uni is actually applicable to the workplace. And you can see how as well. It's not just theory. And of course, I can't forget about the financial support. So over the 4 years while you're in the program, you have access to a 19.6K per year scholarship. And it's really valuable to put aside these financial considerations and focus more on studies or work placements. Definitely also really helps my bank balance revive after any overseas or interstate trips that I go on to. So the next point about networking and mentoring is so important, because it really reflects the level of support you have, which Kay mentioned briefly. So whilst you're in the co-op program, you have all of this support, whether it's from the social, professional, or academic perspective. And in that way, you really get that support from all these different angles, whether it's from your co-op cohort or the co-op society who go through the same experiences as you and serve as lifelong friends, even after university, or the countless staff members and academic coordinators who make your university experience as smooth as possible. Your well-being and development is really supported through all of these different angles, and it really helps you reach your full potential whilst having that support whenever you're a bit confused or a bit down or you're not sure what to do. And I think this is really important because in university, there isn't this one teacher who guides you through everything, and lecturers are usually teaching classes of like 300, 400 people. So having this kind of support, this one-on-one support amidst this really rigorous program is really unparalleled. And I think it's something that all of us scholars really appreciate, and it's something that you can look forward to. I really also love how alumni and the workplace team are always so kind and willing to put time outside of their busy schedules to give you help. So it really sets you up this network beyond university. So I found that there was support, whether it was setting up coffee chats to discuss what I wanted to achieve in my placements, or setting up plans to achieve my goals, or meetings to explain any concepts I'm confused by. They have a lot of patience for you, and they understand that you're coming from university. So I found it really insightful to hear from your seniors and learn more about the industry that you'll end up working at. And speaking of the workplace, the co-op program has such a variety of sponsors that you can be exposed to and work at. So here's just a snapshot of a few of them. I would definitely recommend looking at the listing by program on our website to see which companies are sponsors of the program you're interested in. So I guess on your screen, you'll see some of Australia's and the world's biggest players. You'll see like Big Four consultancies, or the deliciously recognizable Arnott's, who gives us really good Tim Tams for the office. You can see Macca's, Woolies, all of these names that you'll recognize and places you'll want to work at. So what I really like about the co-op program is it takes into consideration what you're interested in. You're not thrown into the deep end, and they really consider your career goals and aspirations when choosing which company you want to do your placements at. So personally, I was at KPMG, a consultancy, Allianz, a general insurer, and MetLife, a life insurer. And I guess my main goal was just that I wanted to explore the diverse industries of actuarial studies and figure out what I wanted to go to for grad. And I think you can definitely achieve that goal since there's such a large and growing sponsor pool. And when I say growing, I mean growing. So if you look at our newest addition, Tesla, that's a very exciting opportunity there, and it's a name I'm sure you all recognize. So where can your co-op journey take you? So there are broadly 3 streams: the business, engineering, and science stream, and different programs within each of these streams. So in your application, you have the opportunity to select 3 preferences of programs, and they can be across these streams. So you can mix and match it, and it's not limited to just one stream. However, we highly recommend that you choose the programs that you're genuinely interested in. So I think a really good way to figure out that is to go on our website and look at the different programs available. Under each program, you'll also see the skills that are required for that program, as well as what kind of opportunities are available in that program. And you can kind of just figure out what you're interested in and where you see yourself fitting in. So I'll just go over really quickly some of the programs. So under business, there are accounting and business management, actuarial studies, which is what I'm doing, information systems, finance and banking and marketing. So something of note for the business programs is that there's a specific UAC code for the business programs compared to engineering or science. So please make sure that you put in the correct UAC code when you're applying for a business stream for co-op, because it's different to the standard business degree. There's also engineering. So what's very exciting about engineering is that there's the potential for a 5th year's honors scholarship. So under this kind of program, you can do research with the company, which I think is personally, well, I haven't really done it, but from what I've heard is that doing this kind of research with the company is much better than doing, say, a theoretical, just purely academic research with the university. So I think having that kind of sponsor communication in that is so valuable. And under science, we have advanced maths, data science and decisions, and material science and engineering. So a very common myth is that co-op is just for super academic people, but no, we look at way more than just academics, much more than marks. We're looking for committed students with motivation, ambition, leadership skills, and are great team players who can balance study and life. I think what they're looking for is that you're active in your school and your local community, and all of this is really demonstrated in the application process and the interview. We're not mind readers, so we don't know what you've done unless you've told us what you've done. So that's why in your application, it's really helpful if you show how you've demonstrated these qualities through specific examples, and making sure that your application is specific to you, rather than just writing a generic application and trying to put activities that you think sound good. It's more important to write activities down where you've actually learned something and what you've done to show off what you've learned from that. So we'll definitely go over this in a bit more detail in the rest of today's session. Okay, so the eligibility rules. So the main eligibility of co-op is that there's an ATAR cutoff of the higher between 96 with EAS adjustment factors, or the ATAR required for your entry. So say for actuarial studies, the ATAR entry is 97.5, you would need the 97.5 instead of the 96. However, don't let the ATAR number hold you back, because if it's something you're interested in, definitely apply, because there's so much to gain and nothing to lose from writing the application. Anything you prepare for this application can always serve as a foundation for future applications or interviews. Particularly to note, we've widened the scope of the ATAR requirement, as Kay mentioned, to up to 4 places with the alternative gateway entry consideration. So this consideration is having a lower ATAR requirement of 90 with EAS. Kay, do you have anything further to add on that, or did you cover it in your earlier speech? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm having a bad day today, guys. No, I think I covered mostly everything, Kelly, already. But yes, as I said, we're widening that ATAR scope for students who can demonstrate their diversity and their experience and their passion and their commitment, exactly as Kelly has said. And I think you'll hear from the students who are going to speak next about how they manage their applications. So I think move on to that. And then if you've got any questions about the ATAR or about the application process, let's handle those in the chat afterwards. Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, all good. So now we'll hear from the 2 co-op scholars who will share their experiences of the application process and more widely the co-op program. So Anusha, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Thanks, Kelly. So hi guys, my name is Anusha. I'm a second year student studying Bachelor's of Actuarial Studies within the co-op program. I graduated from Auburn Girls High School.
Yep, Angelina.
Thanks, Kelly. Hi, everyone. I'm Jelena Lim, and I graduated from Cabramatta High School back in 2020. I'm also a second-year scholar, and I'm studying chemical engineering.
Yeah, so definitely they're at the stage of the co-op program where they remember their application, and they're also experiencing the co-op program, which is a really good thing for you guys, because they can share some tips and insights from both sides. So Anusha, what were some of the reasons that co-op stood out to you when you applied?
For me personally, the reason why I applied for co-op was because of the industry experience. I was told from the senior students who graduated from my school that getting an early industry experience is really valuable, especially with co-op, because you get experience within the actuarial studies stream in your second year, whereas like normal students who just take Bachelor of Actuarial Studies in your degree, they usually get when they're between their third year and fourth year. So I think that was very valuable, and that kind of led me to apply for co-op program as well. And also because I really wanted to work at Affinity, and it's kind of like a coincidence that my first placement was also Affinity, which I'm really, really enjoying right now. So I think that was kind of also the reason why I kind of approached for co-op, because Affinity is one of the sponsors, and I have had like an amazing time with the company so far.
Yeah, definitely motivation's a really big factor when you're applying, because during the interview stage or the application stage, the interviewers can really tell how much you want the application, the scholarship, and that'll reflect in the outcome. So I think definitely for you guys in the audience, think about what stands out to you in the co-op program, and kind of think of like the reasons why you think you fit in the co-op program and how it aligns with your motivations, like Anusha did. So Jelena, what has been some standout experiences that you've had so far in the co-op program?
some of my standout experiences, first of all, has been the leadership camp that we went on earlier in the year. So that was a really good chance to interact with everybody else, as well as learn a lot more about leadership and teamwork. I also really just enjoy all of the co-op activities that we have, the professional development ones that are run by the team. So things regarding communication and confidence and things like that. But other than that, it was just really valuable. Every time I got to be around another co-op person who in particular didn't study the same degree as me. So that was another really valuable thing about the program. I didn't want to enter chemical engineering and only be surrounded by chemical engineers. So it was really nice that I was always around people that always knew something that I didn't know. So even if I wasn't in class, it always felt like I was learning around these other people.
Yeah, definitely that network is super amazing because there's always an event going on, whether it's like a networking event or even I think upcoming there's a cruise which involves the co-op societies from 3 different unis at Sydney. So definitely a lot of exciting social and professional development events you guys can look forward to. So this next question, you guys can also think about it in the audience. So feel free if you wanted to share your answers in the chat. So studying takes up a lot of time, especially close to the HSC, but it's definitely valuable to participate in extracurricular activities because these help you build skills and get more involved in your community. So it would be really great if you guys could share some activities that you were involved in during high school and share what kind of skills or attributes you demonstrated. So Anusha and Jelena, maybe you guys can also share how you used one of the activities in your co-op application. Who wants to go first? Maybe we'll stick with the same order. Anusha, you can go first.
So part of my application and like even my high school experience, I participated in a lot of like fundraising activities. So especially like Max Potential, which is a fundraising program. I was also part of the school leadership team, which I also mentioned in my application. And I also played basketball, mostly grade and zone. So that is something that I also included in my application. And I went on a lot of excursions that were kind of like the aim of the excursions were to introduce leadership skills such as the UBS Finance Academy, which was a 3-day camp, and also the ABCN Focus program, which was just an 1-day program where they teach you how to become a leader. So these were kind of like some things that I put in my application throughout for different questions. But for example, I'll just go through an example of a leader or the team player one. So I mentioned my the fundraising program, which was the Max Potential program. Basically, I hosted a fundraiser and I collaborated with Barnardo's Australia. And the reason why I put that in a leadership role was because I personally had to contact an external company to a nonprofit organization to kind of like run this fundraising program and basically raise toys for all the children around Australia. And I think even though I had team members helping me out, I kind of initiated the program. So which is the reason why I added that as a team leader. But for basketball, I mentioned that under teamwork skills because basketball is definitely a sport that needs a lot of coordination. So I think my advice would be just make sure you write all your activities down that you've done throughout your high school and just match with what skills it matches with within the application and write about it.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really handy skill. No matter whether it's for a co-op application or just a job interview, it's something that it's very important to revisit every year as well. Yeah, so I think what Anusha has really demonstrated is that it's an example that's really specific to her, and she really shared what she's learned from that experience. And I think that's something you want to replicate in your applications as well. But when I say replicate, I don't mean when listening to these activities from Anusha and Jelena, and we're not saying it's a formula approach. You must go to do a fundraising charity to get into co-op. That's not what we mean. We're trying to show you how these different activities, which are all very varied, how they can contribute to your answer. So make sure you tailor the activity to what you're personally passionate in, rather than thinking of it as a formula for success. So Jelena, do you want to share your experiences as well?
Sure. So some of the different things I had talked about in my application were just the things I did as a school captain, as an SRC member, but also some volunteering that I did outside of school and with my local council as well. One particular project I talked about was when my team of SRCs had redesigned the school's recycling and garbage bin system so that we could get a lot more fundraising out of the return and earn system that the government had put in place. And that was something that we started earlier in the year. So we had a lot of time to fundraise the money for the school. And what ended up happening was that money went back into the school so that we could buy some facilities and, I don't know, repair some locks and bring in some new microwaves for the students. So that was a really specific one. Another thing I talked about was just the ABCN programs like Anushay was talking about. So I think a point to make there is, even if you feel like you're bogged down with time with the HSC and you don't have enough time to go outside of school and do a lot of extra things, that there are a lot of things that the school itself offers you that you can do during your class time. So even if you're thinking that you don't want to go out of school in your spare time to do extra stuff because you're busy studying, then still reach out and apply and put your hands up for stuff that are happening in school anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I know at my school, we also had fundraising opportunities run by the school, where I think we went out for a couple of days to Martin Place to help raise money for a charity. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities also present in your school. Another point that we should raise is that don't think about whether that activity is significant or not. It doesn't matter how grand that activity is, as long as it's something that you've learned something from. So whether, even if it's not like, oh, you were the school captain like Jelena, it might be some other things that you found personally significant to you. So make sure you reflect and do what Anushay said and write down everything you've participated in and try to see what qualities and experiences you've gained from it, and then pick your strongest example to use in the application and interview. Okay, so speaking of the more technical parts, we'll move on to Deb, who will talk more about how to structure your responses.
Thanks very much, Kelly. And I think you've heard from our students some fabulous tips and words of wisdom there on how to ace your application. So I'm just going to give you a bit more of a theoretical framework that you can use. And as you've also heard from our scholars, this is not only helpful for your scholar application with UNSW, but these are the same sorts of tips that you would use in any job application and also for application of cover letters for jobs as well as for interviews. So any work that you put into applying for the UNSW Scholar Program is going to be great foundations for you for other things that you'll be applying for as well. So what we recommend is that you start to work on what we call STAR responses. And some of you might have heard of STAR responses before. So it's just a method by which you are going to be able to demonstrate by specific example some of those attributes that employers and UNSW Scholar Program is actually looking for. So the STAR acronym stands for S is for situation, T is for task, A is for action, and R is for response. So when you're going to use a STAR response, which you're going to do for questions 4 and 5 of your application, question 4 talks about leadership and teamwork, and question 5 looks at examples for decision making or problem solving. You're going to tell us a little bit about the situation where this activity took place. You're going to talk very briefly about the actual tasks that you did in your example, but you're going to focus for us on the actions and the result. We're looking for, achievements and the impact. What difference did you make through whatever particular example you choose to cite? What was the outcome of that? So come home strong for us with something that you're particularly proud of and something that emulates those particular attributes that we are looking for. You've heard from our scholars some great examples there of attributes that they use to identify particular things, whether it was volunteering, whether it's experiences with a student representative council, whether it's through their sporting accolades. It's really important for us as well when we're assessing our applications that we see things that are unique and authentic, as Kelly's already told you, things that are authentic to you. Yeah, we're not looking for a number of applications that all look like each other. We really want to see that diversity and something that's distinct. So you can tailor your examples from many different things. You're not restricted to the school experience. Obviously, there are some at school, but you might be doing a number of other things. So do look broadly from your life experience, be it at school or extracurricular, sport. You might have a part-time job, you might be a volunteer, and you might also be doing some forms of community engagement or faith-based activities as well that are lovely examples of showcasing your achievements. Next slide, please. Thank you. So as Kelly's also told you, and I think Anushay also mentioned, it's really useful for you to start to jot down those attribute areas, whether they're communication skills, organizational skills, or some of the ones you're going to see specifically also in our application, leadership skills, problem solving, decision making, or teamwork, and then start to populate for yourself a lovely Word doc or even Excel. We've been hearing about Excel, and if you join us, you'll be also improving and expanding in a fabulous manner, getting a certification in Excel training. So you can use technology there to formulate some of the activities that you're going to use in your application. So just to look at leadership skills, because obviously we are looking to explore existing emergent leaders and those of you who are going to be amazing future leaders of tomorrow. There are different ways that you can showcase your leadership skills. So there's just two examples in the middle domains to have a look at. You know, you might be working part-time at the moment as a tutor, and you can quantify your examples as well by talking about how many students. You might be working with 10 students. You might have a part-time job at Macca's, and you might have advanced to the position of crew trainer, where you actually have trained 4 new staff. You might be crew trainer of the month at the moment. So there's some ways that you can showcase leadership. Alternative ways of showcasing leadership are also showing being an active member of the SRC, which you heard some of our scholars were, with some lovely recycling, environmentally friendly initiatives that they've developed that they were particularly proud of. You might be working on a diversity project, or you might be doing some more traditional things like a team captain of debating or other types of school interventions as well. Also, so you can see in some of the other areas of attributes that you can also showcase, you can apply some of your sporting abilities, so playing hockey and competing, and you can see a lovely achievement there for a student who may have placed somewhere within a sporting outcome. Similarly, you might be a creative soul who has some wonderful musical talent there. We love to hear about you as well. You know, perhaps you've developed, we know what sort of discipline, persistence, what sort of teamwork comes out of being part of a music group as well. So your experiences can be from all walks of life. We might have some of you who are into surf life saving, robotics, whatever your particular passion is, we want to see that. So please bring that in the application as is authentic to you. Next slide, please. Okay, so how do you do this? This is just an example of how you could formulate. So please, this is an exemplar, but we hope not to see exactly the same thing in your applications. It just gives you an idea of how you can structure. So starting off with your situation, so this is an example of how you can formulate a response on organizational or communicational skills. So you state where that occurred. So for this particular student, they developed that as part of being part of the SRC, the Student Representative Council at their high school over a period of years during their schooling. So they tell us about the S. It was during their time as an SRC member, and the tasks of what they actually did in terms of overseeing a diversity week. And this is the bit we're really interested in because we want fabulous problem solvers. This is something really important in the Scholar program, and you're going to further your skills in that area. So going step by step through a number of particular things, what you did in terms of organising that diversity week. So if you take us through a number of those steps, that shows us the level of detail, and it shows us actually a little bit about how you approach problem solving and how you apply yourself. And then end with a lovely statement for us of the R, which is the results. As a result of that week, what occurred? So in this example, you can see, that the event ran smoothly. There were 3 events held, and there was a great turnout, which was above and beyond what the student was expecting. They had over 150 students at each event, and the feedback was that it was the best diversity event that they'd had in the history of the school. Yeah. So that hopefully you can see from that how this is a way to showcase something that you've done. Yeah, so that they're just a few tips of the trade, and we hope that that will help guide you through your application process. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Deb. I think definitely like having that really detailed explanation of what you've done makes it really specific to you. And when you're writing a response, what I tend to give as a tip is to try and see if you replace the name with someone else's name, would it still make sense? You want to make it like something that's unique to you. So make sure it's something you can put your name to. Okay, so now we're up to the Q&A panel discussion. Kylie, are there any questions that's popped up?
Yes, good evening, everyone. The first question here from Ali Reza is about how do I apply from a gateway school, or do I do something else? If you're interested in our scholarship, you do have to submit a
I think, Kylie, you might be
by
cutting
the
out a bit.
30th of September. I apologise. It's been perfectly fine the whole time. How's that now?
Yep, better.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll just repeat that again. You must submit a co-op application via our website by the 30th of September. We'll be sending out emails, reminders and updates in the lead up to that closing date. So if you haven't already started an application, I recommend you start it very soon, and you can come back to it and edit it and update it as you go. So you've got time to draft things, revisit and come back, and you do have till 5 p.m. on the 30th of September to submit. Now, the next question is about
Kylie, can I just make an additional point there so that it's really clear? The co-op application for Gateway students is different to the Gateway Admissions Pathway program. And so, as Kylie said, you do need to submit, or you will need to submit if you're interested in co-op, a separate co-op application, and you'll go through the normal co-op process. But of course, you can do that in parallel with applying for the Gateway Admissions Pathway program. So you can do those two things in parallel. In fact, we would recommend that you do those things in parallel. Certainly, if you are concerned about not getting to the ATAR level that we require, you should do those things in parallel. So I know that the graduate pathways process closes on the 19th of September. We would encourage you to complete that process as well as the co-op scholarship process, because that gives you then the maximum opportunity to be able to choose the area of study that you really want and to get into the university. So that's really quite important. I know also that the pathway program requires you to put your UAC code for the program, the pathways program, as your first preference. Please don't let that stop you applying for co-op. You do not have to put our co-op UAC code in your preference list to get an interview. So that's a really important thing to be considered for an interview. You won't need to put the co-op codes high in your UAC preferences. You can certainly put the Gateway program as indicated by the Pathways program. You can certainly put that first. So just want to be clear, need to do both processes. They can run in parallel. You can fulfill the obligations of the Gateway Pathway process in putting that application in. It won't stop you from being considered for a co-op scholarship, because we will, as soon as we see an application from a student from a Gateway school, that'll be flagged for us, and we'll work with admissions to manage our process. And when it comes to the end, closer down to the end, when you get your results, there will be time then, if you are offered a co-op scholarship, to be able to change your UAC code such that you gain entry into the required program. So that is slightly different to the way the co-op program independently works. This is an adjustment which we've made with admissions for Gateway students so that you can apply for both things and maximise your chances. So I hope that's clear. If it's not, come back and we can revisit it. Thanks. Sorry, Kylie.
That's okay. Next question is, what does EAS mean on the slide that was referred to, and am I eligible for it? EAS stands for Educational Access Scheme. To apply for it, it's through your UAC application. Different universities, sorry, Kay, you might want to jump in.
Well, I'm thinking Deb might want to jump in here. She might be more of an expert in advising on EAS.
I'm actually not an expert on this one.
Okay.
It is something as well that needs to be discussed. It's best a question answered by UAC, by the UAC team, unfortunately.
Yep.
So you do need to apply specifically and provide documentation under the Educational Access Scheme. That's right.
You need to apply. You need to apply from school. So EAS is about students who have suffered some form of sustained disadvantage during their time at school and certainly in their senior years. And so you need to have an application which is supported by certain documentation, and you apply through UAC. And the EAS points, because they relate to sustained disadvantages, something which certainly we will consider as part of your of an application, but those points are awarded through UAC, not by us. And certainly certain universities do accept certain forms of sustained disadvantage. There are slight differences between the universities, but that will all be decided through the UAC process. So you need to go and speak, I would suggest, to your careers advisor. If you haven't already done that, if you think that you have been in a position of sustained disadvantage, that can relate to illness, to so time off school, to other problems that you may have had to manage, a caring relationship during your schooling years, a whole range of things. So you can certainly go speak to your careers advisor. They will have the process absolutely that needs to be followed for you to make an application for EAS from your school. It needs to be done before it should be done before you do your high school certificate, and then it goes through to UAC, and we are then advised of any EAS points that students have been awarded based on the applications that they've put through. So we will consider any EAS points that are granted as a part of your ATAR result. They add to the ATAR result, but it is not decided by us, it's decided by UAC. Yeah?
Yes,
So,
and I think Kylie and I have both dropped in links in the chat. So the first one is the documents and the eligibility rules, and Kylie's link is more about like what the what the EAS program actually is. So make sure you have a look through both of the links. It has, I think, 28 different disadvantages that you can see if you're eligible for. And then there are supporting documents. I would suggest you leave enough time to apply for it as well, because some of them, such as personal illness or disability, you actually need to get a doctor's note. So make sure you prepare that in advance, because it does take some time to book in that doctor's appointment and get that ready. So have a look straight away at that website if you think you might be eligible.
Okay, next question is from Jordan. Is it possible to undertake a dual degree in the co-op program? What we advise our students is that when they enter the co-op program, they must be enrolled in a single degree. A student can be considered for a dual degree through their degree. Usually the criteria is in their second year after they've been on their first placement. A student would have to make an application to co-op and explain why they think a dual degree is beneficial to them and to the sponsor. And then co-op and the sponsors will meet to consider that application. So the short answer is no, but there's a possibility down the track. So if usually when we've had some students join us in the last year or two, and they're very upfront about saying this is what they're considering to do. So we've been able to give them the information early on. So it is possible, but it's not guaranteed. So if that's something you really want to do, you should think about why you want to do it now, so that when you come to the point where you need to submit an application, it's a strong application as to why you think that the dual degree would be beneficial. Okay, did you want anything else?
I think the only other thing is, remember that you can certainly with many of the co-op program streams, not all, but the majority, you can certainly do double majors. So it doesn't mean, so for example, many of our students who perhaps, let's say you're interested in business and you're particularly interested in accounting, and you apply for an accounting degree through the co-op program, but you may also realize or recognize that moving into the future, accounting is very much more becoming or require a greater understanding of IT and technical solutions. So you want to do some information systems study as well as your accounting, or you might want to do some investment banking, some finance and banking study as well as your accounting, or you might want to do some economics, because you might want to pair your accounting knowledge with some policy writing and understanding. You can do double majors. So you can certainly, and through co-op, you can certainly do that. You can do accounting and economics. You can do accounting and information systems. You can do accounting and marketing. You can pair many subjects as double majors. A double degree, as Kylie said, is certainly possible, but it is not guaranteed. And you do certainly have to demonstrate, and this is as much for you as anything else. As co-op students, you are obviously required to maintain good academic standing. You are doing a lot of professional development courses and programs outside of your study, and then of course we expect you to go on placements, and that's where you really learn the most. So there's a lot involved in the co-op program, and we certainly don't want to add to overburden students too early with a double degree. So that's why we ask you, as Kylie indicated, to first do your first year, do your first placement, then decide if a double degree is really going to be the best way for you to build your career future. And if that's the case, then you need to apply and do the things that Kylie said. And certainly we have a number of students doing double degrees, but think first about double majors and how you might build your skill sets and your capabilities around the area that you're most interested in through double majors. Yeah. Kelly, Jelena, Anusha, anything to add to that? Have you thought about your majors, your second majors yet, or yeah?
I guess for me personally, because I entered the program later in my second year, the very first thing, the main reason why I didn't apply to co-op was because I didn't do my research properly, so I didn't know you could do a dual degree later on. But I really wanted to do law and actuarial studies, so that's why I didn't initially apply for co-op. But then I realized, like, a lot of the times sponsors, they're not really looking at like what degree you did. They're looking at more like what you've learned and how your experiences are relevant to the workplace. So a lot of the times what you learn in uni isn't everything either. So that's why the experiences of co-op is much more valuable than a dual degree, as someone who's experienced both. So that's why I think personally, if you're interested in the co-op program and a double degree, I would suggest starting off with the co-op program first and then seeing whether a double degree is really necessary. And you can see that through your placements and what experiences you had, because you'll be able to see how your degree is already relevant to the workplace without that double degree. So in my opinion, just start off with co-op.
I think that's really smart advice, Kelly, because many sponsors will say to us, again, it comes back to this practical experience being so important in terms of what employers are looking for, that to do the co-op program and to do 3 placements, which means altogether you'll have somewhere between 15 and 18 months worth of real work experience when you finish your degree, is far more valuable to them, because you've been able to demonstrate not just the technical skills, but through your placements, you also learn, and through the professional development programs that we support you in, you also learn all about the professional skills that you require, the soft skills they call them. Yeah, communication, leadership, teamwork. You learn so much more about those that actually those things will define your career potential and projection, often far more than doing a double degree. So I would totally support that, and many employers will say exactly the same thing, and that's why they support the co-op program so widely, because you go out with good technical skills in your core area, but you also bring with you all of those professional skills that you will have learned from working in the workplace, and from the professional development programs that you will have done as part of the program. Thanks, Kelly. Kylie, do we have more questions?
Yes, there's a couple that if you apply for co-op on Gateway, would it be a waste to put it within our personal reflection on Gateway? Would it change the ATAR requirement in any way, such as other degrees Gateway adjusted ATAR?
Okay. I'm not sure I understand the question. Maybe the questioner can be a little bit more specific about what it is that they're wanting to know. I'm not sure. Is anybody else? Yeah. Is that just me? I'm not quite understanding the question.
Yeah, Jenny, if you want to just be a bit, clarify that a bit more. Another question we had was about students who are selected for interview are asked to make a video. Mm-hmm. So if you are selected, you will receive an email, and that will have advice on. That is something that will happen in the future. So you don't need to prepare for that right now.
Why don't we ask Anusha and Jelena, who did those things, how they approached the video? Yeah.
Sure. I think one thing to point out and remember is that the video snapshots and the time you engage with the co-op team during the interview is not as daunting as it seems. For me, the interview was actually a lot more friendly, and it made me feel a lot more comfortable in knowing that the interview is just about seeing whether you're a good fit for the program. So with the 1-minute video, my recommendation is to just, first of all, think about your written application and consider any parts of it that you felt like words just wasn't good enough to express, because that is what the video snapshot is for. It's a minute to give the people that are reviewing your application a better understanding of your personality and a better understanding of who you are as a person. So it's not meant to be overly planned. It's not meant to be as rigid as the written application is. So my recommendation is have a little bit of fun with the video.
Adding on to Jelena's point, I would say that you should approach the video as like thinking that, okay, if you have a mentor, how would you introduce your mentor to about yourself? You have like a minute, and just make it not very too professional, but also enough so that they get to know about you within that minute. And I think that's like an important thing that I considered while recording the snapshot.
Yeah, I think you need to think about the video like you think about having a chat with your friends. As Anusha says, it might be slightly more professional than that, but really we will have read your applications. We know that you're clever, because your academic marks reflect that. We've seen your results. So we know we've got a lot of technical information about you. And we know what you've done. We want to see in the video just a little bit more about you. And it's really a precursor to what we want to do in the interview. The interview is about you introducing yourself to us, introducing the things that all of the students have talked about, the passion, the commitment that you have for life, for the thing you want to study, for some of the activities that you've done. Yeah, we want to get to know you. And that's really the purpose of the short video. But it's also then the purpose of the interview, which is why I think, as Jelena said, then they're not really scary. It's not about really testing you and putting you to the flame to see what you know. It's much more about getting to know you, who you are, and the person that you are, and why you want to be part of the program. So the video is exactly the same. Pick something that you're passionate and committed about, and talk to us about it so we get a feel for who you are. That's the objective.
Okay, I think we have one more question from Jordan. Are you able to do honours for co-op degrees other than engineering or science? In addition, does the actuarial, still can't say that word, actuarial studies program allow double majors? I'm not the expert here, so Kelly, you could speak to double majors in actuarial.
Yeah, sure. I can cover that point. So the actual program, it has 3 different majors that you can choose from, but most people just go with the standard actual program as their major. There's also like quantitative data as well as a risk major, but normally you just do one because there's not too much overlap between the different majors. So there's not really too much point in doing like double major because they're kind of the same courses anyways, with additional 5 courses. I think that's the difference between the actuarial studies majors. I think with actuarial studies, the standard major, you also have additional business electives, and then using those business electives, you can choose to do like the courses which count towards the double major as a business elective. So it might be a bit confusing now with my explanation, but basically like you can choose to do the courses that you're interested in as your business elective rather than undertaking a double major. So I feel like for actual studies, I've never really heard of anyone doing a double major because I think you can only choose one.
Yeah, it is. Actuarial studies is a little more restrictive. I did say not every program allows you to do a double major. Most do. The reason why actuarial studies is a little bit different is because part of the degree that you complete when you complete your actuarial studies degree is part of your professional qualifications. So, if you do accounting, then often at the end, people will do a professional qualification. For actuarial students, to work as actuaries, they have to complete their professional qualifications. And there are 3 stages to that professional qualification that you need to complete. And actuarial students will actually complete 2 of the 3 parts of their professional qualification, or can do, while they're doing their co-op degree. So that's why that degree is quite packed with actuarial studies courses, Kelly, isn't that right? Because you are actually also not just completing a degree in actuarial studies, you are completing the first 2 parts of your professional actuarial qualifications. And then the 3rd part of your actuarial qualifications, you complete when you're working. You can't complete it until you have been in the workforce for a period of time. So that's the reason why actuarial studies is less flexible around the double majors that you can do.
Yeah, and personally, like from experience doing the actual studies courses, I think doing extra actual studies would put a lot of pressure on you academically as well. So in my opinion, if you're under the co-op program with actual studies, it's much better use of your time to focus on your placements and then passing your existing qualifications already, because they're pretty tough to pass. From experience, hearing from all of my friends as well, actual studies is a very difficult course already, so there's not too much point in pressuring yourself to do an extra double major when the courses itself are already really challenging.
Just to add on that, I think because part of the co-op degree for actual studies, you have 4 electives that you can choose. You can do a minor with those.
Yes.
And I
Yep.
think you can pick up major because the part 2 courses, the way the co-op timeline is set up, you just need to do 1 additional risk course, and then you can just get a major, an actual risk major, sorry. So, but a lot of people just don't do it because it is, again, like really hectic and a lot of work is required in each actual studies course. So I know a lot of people, they're just doing minors instead of doing a major and just graduating with a degree.
Kylie, there was another part to that question that wasn't related to actuarial studies.
Sorry, yes, let me get back to it. No, honours degrees for other than engineering and science.
Yeah, certainly there are a couple of the programs that have built in business that have built-in honours programs. Certainly you can do honours in 4 years in the co-op program with finance and banking. You can do honours, you have to do honours in business information systems. It's a built-in part of the program. Of course, you do honours in 5th year for all of the engineering programs. But you can do honours in any program. The issue is that if you are doing honours in addition to the co-op program, typically, apart from the programs that I have mentioned, it adds an extra year to your degree, and your scholarship does not continue on for that 5th year. So again, take accounting as the example. You're doing an accounting and business management major co-op degree. You can do that in 4 years. You can do a double major, but your honours will be typically an extra year at the end. And that is a 5th year, and that 5th year is not covered by the co-op scholarship. So 4 years of scholarship, you can do an honours year, but it's an additional year at the end. Okay.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think it's really good to evaluate what your career aspirations is at that point of your time. So like choosing whether to do honours is adding an extra year, as Kay mentioned, or you could go into your grad role. So a lot of the times people consider whether they're looking to go into academia, because honours is really about researching and building those kind of research skills, because you're going through a thesis and like going through that whole thesis design process. So that's why it's thinking about whether you're planning to go into research and academia or whether you want to go into industry and work. So it's up to you, like what aligns with your career aspiration.
Kylie, we're just a little bit over time, but are there a couple of other burning questions that we should answer?
There's a couple of questions here that I'll contact these students directly because they're quite specific, and I'll reach out to them tomorrow. Is it possible to transfer into co-op program in 2nd year? Not exactly. From time to time, we offer, or we advertise replacement scholarships or late scholarships.
Going out.
So, sorry, is that better now?
Yeah.
So on our co-op website, from time to time, we do advertise late or replacement scholarships. So there's, we're looking for, at the moment, we have a computer science 2nd year opportunity available. So it's possible to join co-op after your 1st year of university, depending on changes that have happened within co-op. So if you were to apply straight out of high school and didn't quite make it, there might be another opportunity to enter the program later on in your university career.
Yeah, I entered in my 2nd year, and it's all by chance whether that spot opens up. So it's very important that you put in your effort now to apply for the program, because I think the stakes are also better, because at the moment it's like 80 spots, around 80 spots that are open, whereas when you apply for it in your 2nd year, it's like that 1 spot. So the stakes are much better if you apply now compared to when you apply in uni.
Yes, that is right. But keep an eye out when you are at UNSW, because of course you're all going to come to UNSW. Keep an eye out for vacancies, because they, as Kelly said, we never know when they pop up. So Kay, I think we're over time now.
Yeah, there was just a couple of slides. I think, Kelly, you were going to finish off in terms of the timeline. Might be worth doing those.
Yeah. Oops, I exited the whole thing. Okay, so just as to a conclusion, these are the key dates. You can take a screenshot or take a photo of it, but the dates are also on our website. But basically the applications are almost closing. You have about a bit more than a month to do it. So get started now. They close on 30th of September and it's a hard deadline. We don't accept late applications. But before the close, you have another chance to speak to us. We have chats throughout the next month as well, but more specifically in person, we have an open day. So this is not just the co-op program, this is also widely UNSW. So if you're not sure what degree you want to do, you're not sure whether the co-op program is fit for you, make sure to come into UNSW and speak to some of the staff, some of the students who are there, and you can kind of figure out what degree you're interested in. So I found the open day to be really helpful because personally I was choosing between UNSW or USyd. So by going to open day, I could see like the environment of UNSW and meet the people. And then after that, I was able to figure out what degree and what kind of interests me by speaking to people directly. So definitely come to open day if you're free, 3rd of September. After that, the interview offers and the snapshot links are sent out on the 10th of November. So as Kylie mentioned, you don't need to prepare for the video unless you're given the interview offer. So you'll know that on the 10th of November, and you have 7 days to prepare your video snapshot before it's due on the 17th of November. And then on the 22nd of November, there is an interview briefing day. During this session, you'll just be given information about the actual interview day, so you won't be confused or lost on the actual day, which is the 23rd of November. So as you can see, there's like a bit of more than a month to do your application, and after that, there's 2 weeks to prepare for your interview. So what I would suggest is definitely doing all of that preparation we've mentioned over this session and putting all of the tips that we provided you into action, whether it's your application or your interview preparation. Put that STAR method in practice, write down all of your activities, and make sure you get that practice and all of that experiences written down so that you're prepared for the application and interview. Other than that, I think that's about it. We also have our social medias for you to follow, and you can really see what the co-op experience is like through our social media pages. You'll see what some application tips, you might see some of the stuff that people are up to, such as like a global exchange program, stuff like that. They're all on our Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So make sure you scan that QR code. I would recommend scanning it right now so that you have it on your phone. That QR code is really handy because it has our upcoming events. It also has the links to the application page as well as our website, and all of these handy stuff all in one place. So make sure you either take a photo or scan that QR code. But other than that, go onto our website to do a bit more research and find out a bit more about the co-op program. And you'll also see a chat bot there. Me and Olivia handle that on the weekdays. So if you have any questions or you just want to have a chat about the co-op applications or stuff like that, me and Liv can definitely handle your questions and stuff like that. So use the chat bot, or you can email us and we can reply to you there as well. Yeah, but don't worry, you're definitely not alone in the application process. If you have any questions, we're more than happy to give you support. Yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to send it in the chat so Kylie can keep a record of it, or send it to our email and we'll reply to you as soon as possible. But yeah, any closing words from anyone else? Okay, I think that's about it.
I was just going to say simply, good luck, everybody. We hope to see applications from all of you, and good luck with the process. Don't forget, you do it in parallel with a standard Gateway Pathways program application so that you maximize your chances. So you do both of them independently, but they run in parallel. And at the end of the day, if you get an offer for co-op, you'll certainly have time to adjust your preferences to accept that. but you should give yourself maximum chance. So thanks everybody and good luck.
Yeah, good luck with your HSC as well.
Yes.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.